Hi guys, hope you're all well. This is Ulas. Today we'll study the wrist joint. Okay guys, let's start. Guys, what is wrist joint? Wrist joint is an ellipsoid type of synovial joint between the forearm and the hand. The distal forearm and the proximal part of the hand basically. It is between the carpal bones and the radius and ulna. So we'll study that now. So what are the articular surface? Guys, do you know why is it called an ellipsoid type of joint? Ellipsoid type because it has the ellipsoid kind of articular surfaces. Articular surfaces are the surfaces of the bone which form the joint, isn't it? So the articular surfaces of the wrist joint are ellipsoid in shape. Ellipsoid is like a pulled circle. So that is why it's called an ellipsoid joint. Why is it a synovial joint? Synovial joint because it is lined by synovial membrane. It has a joint capsule lined by synovial membrane which is secreting the synovial fluid. Now let's see the articular surfaces of the joint. What are the articular surfaces? See, this is a wrist joint, right? So guys, in the anatomical position it is like this. So this is the superior aspect, this is the inferior aspect. In the superior aspect there are two bones, radius and ulna. In that radius is forming because wrist joint is also called as radiocarpal joint between the radius and the carpals. Why not ulna? Because between ulna and the wrist there is articular cartilage. We will study that now. So there is articular cartilage, radius, and here there are proximal carpals. Which are the proximal carpals? The lateral three carpals. Which are they? The scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral bones. See, this was the articular surfaces notes. Then see here, guys. The articular cartilage is it's basically a cartilage which is present within the joint. And if the articular cartilage is within the joint is also known as complex kind of complex joint. The temporomandibular joint, the wrist joint, they're all examples of the complex joints. Now see here, this is the radius, isn't it? This is the ulna bone. Radius is lateral, ulna is medial. Okay. See guys, this is the inferior surface of the distal end of radius, and this is the ulna bone. Okay, but ulna is not getting involved. What is getting involved is the articular cartilage here. Okay, just a sec. Yeah, this is the articular cartilage, and these are the proximal carpals. The scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral. The lateral three proximal carpals are getting involved. So this is the wrist joint here. Okay, that was the articular surfaces. Now let's go to the ligaments. Ligaments, what are they? They're the strong fibers connective tissue which are joining the bone to bone, isn't it? They prevent the dislocation. Guys, you can remember this mnemonic if you'd like. The mnemonic is Captain Pawan dislocated his right wrist under pressure. I just remember like this. I just imagine like in some one of our soldiers, Captain Pawan is caught in some enemy camp and he has been handcuffed. In order to escape the handcuff, he dislocated his wrist and took it out. You can just imagine like that. Captain Pawan dislocated his right wrist under pressure. Okay, see the letters which I have underlined in the green are the initials for the respective ligaments. The first one is C. See the capsule, the capsular ligament of the articular capsule basically. So these are the attachments of the articular capsule. What are the attachments of the articular capsule? See, wrist joint is here now between the lower end of radius and proximal carpals. So it is covering all of that. It's covering all of it. That's basically a capsule. Then there is the it's said that a little above the distal radius and ulna, and a little little distal to the carpals. They say it like that, but you can say it is covering those carpals and radius and ulna. Okay. Then there is a palmar aspect. In palmar aspect we have two ligaments, which it is intracapsular. We have a capsule here now. Inside that there will be two ligaments. The palmar radiocarpal in the palmar aspect from radius to carpals, and the palmar ulnocarpal from palmar in the palmar aspect ulna to carpals. We'll study that in detail. Okay. Then there is a dorsal carpal ligament from dorsal radiocarpal. The dorsal aspect from radius to ulna, radius to carpals, like this. This is my radius, right? The dorsal aspect, right? It is coming from radius to carpals, the dorsal carpal ligament. Then there is radial collateral ligament, ulnar collateral ligament. We'll study that in detail now. Can you see here? We have removed the capsule here. There are many ligaments in the wrist joint, and the important 6 ligaments will be studying that now. Okay, see here. This is the palmar radiocarpal ligament, isn't it? If it is a palmar radiocarpal ligament, it is coming from in the palmar aspect. This is the palmar aspect, and it is coming from the radius, distal end of radius, and going into the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral bones. Guys, so you can remember this mnemonic for remembering the carpels. See, this is the proximal aspect, this is the distal carpels basically. So the this is the lateral aspect, this is the medial aspect. So in the lateral aspect there is, we used to remember it like this in our first year. She looks too pretty, try to catch her. So these are the scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Okay, so you can see here, right? This was the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral. So the radial the palmar radiocarpal ligament, it is coming from radius to the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral bones. See, radius is lateral, right? So if it is coming from radius to the carpels, it will usually prefer a lateral 3 carpels. So the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral bones are getting the attachment from the palmar radiocarpal. Then there is a palmar ulnocarpal. From palmar aspect to the medial carpels forming the wrist joint. Which are they? The carpels forming the wrist joint are scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral. So the medial two will be lunate and triquetral bones. So ulnar carpel from ulnar to lunate and triquetral, radial from scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral. So the lunate and triquetral are receiving attachment from both radiocarpal and ulnocarpal ligaments basically. So you can remember it like that. Then there is a dorsal radiocarpal, it's coming from radius to the lateral 3 carpels. Then there is a radial collateral ligament and the ulnar collateral ligament. So the radial collateral ligament is coming from radius to the scaphoid bone, and ulnar collateral is coming from ulnar to the triquetral and pisiform bone. You can see here, right, guys? See here. This is the radial collateral from radius to the triquetral bone and scaphoid, and from ulna it is coming to sorry, that's the trapezium bone. See here, from radius the radial collateral ligament is coming and getting attached to the scaphoid bone mainly, and there is some attachment to this trapezium bone, and this is the ulna to triquetral bone basically. Triquetral and pisiform, that pisiform bone lies over the triquetral bone, so it is getting attached to the triquetral and pisiform, both of them. Okay, those were the ligamentous attachments. Now what is the nerve supply of the joint? Nerve supply is given by the anterior and posterior interosseous nerve. Anterior interosseous and posterior interosseous nerve are branches from the common interosseous nerve. Common interosseous nerve is a branch of radial nerve. Okay, it is just below the cubital fossa. Then there are the movements of the joint. The movements of the wrist joint, it is an ellipsoid type, right? It has 2 axes of motion. One is this one, flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. Then there is abduction and reduction. See, why is this abduction? It is moving towards the midline now. Isn't it, guys? This is the midline. It is moving towards the midline. Shouldn't this be adduction? That doesn't happen in case of any joint, because see here, in any movement of a joint, it is demonstrated based on its anatomical position. So this is the anatomical position of a person. So this is my radius, right? Abduction is also called as radial deviation. See, radial deviation. This is my midline, it is moving away. So this is abduction. This is my midline moving towards. This is adduction. Okay, so the flexion. What are the muscles causing flexion? Flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, and palmaris longus. Flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi radialis is here. Flexor carpi ulnaris is here. Palmaris longus is here. All are in the flexor compartment. Flexion. Now extensor, extension. Extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, then extensor carpi ulnaris. Extension. All are in the extensor compartment. Extension. Then there is abduction, radial deviation. So if it is causing radial deviation, the muscles have to be in the radial side. So the radial side flexor carpi radialis, extensor compartment, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, and there is abductor pollicis longus, a muscle which is going to the thumb and causing abduction. That also has action causing abduction of the wrist joint also. Then there is extensor pollicis brevis. Extensor pollicis brevis, there is one muscle here that also causes abduction. Okay, then there is adduction. Adduction is what? This one. ulnar deviation. Ulnar deviation, which are the muscles? Flexor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi ulnaris, both of them. And there is circumduction. Circumduction here, isn't it? Circumduction is composite movement from many muscles. Then there is wrist joint, the clinical importance. The wrist joint is one of the most commonly affected joints in rheumatoid arthritis. The wrist joint and the interphalangeal joint. So those both are, that is one of the clinical importance. And one more importance is that usually wrist joint and there's one more joint here. Can you see this, guys? The movements of the wrist joint and the mid carpal joint, they work synonymously and cause a functional similarity in the, they function like one joint, but there are two joints basically. See this one, mid carpal joint, isn't it? Sometimes what happens, there is a dislocation in here. So if the proximal and distal carpals, they dislodge, that will cause a lot of pain in the patient. That is one more clinical importance. And the dislocation of wrist joints are hard to fix because the muscles are, the bones are very small there. So putting back in place is a challenge for orthopedicians. Okay, guys, if you have any doubts, please post it in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer you. Take care, guys. Bye.